You are listening to Release Your Resistance with Bex Beltran, episode 104. Welcome to Release Your Resistance. This is Bex. The only reason why any of us don't have what we want in life is because of our own resistance. Right now, I'm learning how to recognize and release my resistance, and this podcast tells you how you can release your resistance so that you can live the exact life that you want. Let's get started. Let's talk about how to use social media and not be used by social media. If you pay attention to anything, you've probably heard, and maybe you've even thought, that social media is bad. It makes people feel bad about themselves. It's a waste of time. But I have a slightly different perspective about social media. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it. I love it. You can use social media so that you get all the benefits without any of the downsides. And maybe by hearing today's episode, you will hear some benefits that you hadn't considered before or that maybe you forgot about. And also, I want to share with you some specific actionable things that you can do so that you are not being used by social media. Let's get ourselves on the same page first. When I talk about social media, I am talking primarily about Facebook and Instagram, and then also TikTok, Snapchat, Reddit, and all the rest. I currently only use 3 of those platforms, but I am sharing this information as I think it probably does apply to any social media site. First, I want to tell you about why I love social media and what it does for me, and what benefits I get from it. And then we can talk about the downsides. And then I will tell you the specific intentional ways that I use social media that you can consider for yourself as you use social media instead of being used by it. A common complaint that you might even agree with is that social media might be interrupting instead of improving the life that you want for yourself. And I think social media improves my life. Here are 3 reasons of the many that I do love social media so much, and I willingly, happily go to it every day and spend some of my valuable time on these platforms. The first reason that I really love social media is the power of connection. My first social media platform was Facebook, and I was a resistant adopter about 10 years ago. It seemed like everyone else had already got on, and I really wondered why. What did I need it for? I wasn't that interested until I saw that people in my family were getting some inside scoops, and they were seeing some photos of each other that I didn't have access to and that I wasn't even aware of. I was missing out. So, well done marketing, and well done FOMO. Your plan worked. You got me to join Facebook. And the reason why I joined Facebook in the first place was because I wanted to have that level of connection as my family members were sharing things. Plus, then I had so much fun connecting with everyone I knew and worked with and went to school with years earlier. It was so great to reconnect with people from the past to see what everyone was up to. Then I quickly saw a secondary benefit, which was as I met people in real life, a new friend, a new acquaintance, someone new to me who had similar interests, joining and connecting on Facebook gave us a chance to further our connection, even if it was months or ever before we ever saw each other again in real life. I remember meeting people for the first time and getting to know each other a little and then getting a little vibe like, hey, we could be friends, or hey, we have this in common. And then it was so easy to take the extra step of saying, are you on social media? Connecting with them that way gave me an opportunity to see a little bit more of what they shared, to get to know them. I could follow along with them in their lives and share more information about myself in a very low stakes way, so that the next time when we did see each other, we already had a further connection. Otherwise, it would have been very easy for us to have forgotten about each other or lost interest in the in-between time. Another way that I use social media for connection is the group chat on Facebook Messenger. Connecting through a fun group chat is something that really helped me get through the first few months of quarantine and COVID and all of that uncertainty that happened in 2020. I had been using the group chat and messages well before that time, but specifically during those few months, the group chat was a great way to maintain some of those close friendships. For months, my friends and I would comment and check in on each other and tell jokes and share funny stories and complain. That specific group chat thread was a running, nonstop conversation that was so supportive and delightful and such a great way to feel connected to people that I really love and value, even though we were separated and trying not to really be around each other. I had that ongoing daily little window on my computer that made me feel so close to these people, and I am so grateful for that connection. A third way that I find connection, specifically on Facebook, is Facebook groups. I guess I am the target market of Facebook's marketing because they have been pushing groups and trying to popularize them, and I am down for it. There are so many groups for so many specific reasons. I'm able to find other people who are interested in the same topics that I am, and I can easily find a place to ask and answer questions, share resources, support each other, and learn from each other. Facebook groups are really good. I have a little hack that I will tell you about in a few minutes that I use so that I can stay on top of the groups that I'm in. And I do probably spend most of my social media time just in the communities that I care about. I don't only hang out in the places that the Facebook algorithm thinks that I should see. So in summary, the first reason why I love social media is because of connection. The second reason why I love social media is because of information. When you find someone who has the same interests as you do or who's interested in the same topic, then you are able to learn from each other. People share so many resources. I learned so much, even just by scrolling. And I love that people share information that I care about and that I find helpful and useful. You know how there are social media influencers? Well, I am frequently influenced. I love to learn about books, TV shows, products, groups, life hacks. I learn so much. I have 2 examples that I learned through scrolling that have made my life more interesting and creative. One time I was scrolling in an Ask Reddit thread. The topic was something about, what hobby have you tried recently? I thought, okay, I would love to know the answers. I would love to know what people share as a new hobby. And someone wrote that they had recently picked up a pack of watercolor pencils and was having so much fun. I didn't even know what watercolor pencils were, and now I was very curious about them, and that sent me off on a little rabbit hole to learn about watercolor pencils and maybe get some for myself to try out. And trying out those pencils gave me the little push to sign up for a watercolor class at my local community center, which really opened up my artistic creation, ability, and interest. And as a bonus, my niece took that watercolor class with me for a few months, so we got the benefit of that connection too. And it all started with someone commenting on a thread in a social media post. Another fun thing that I learned by scrolling on social media was when someone shared the shortcut of how to open a new blank document on your Chrome browser. You just type in doc, that's doc, doc.new, doc.new. Or if you want to open a new spreadsheet on your Chrome browser, you just type in sheet.new, sheet.new. And then you have this new blank document or new blank spreadsheet. This is assuming that you have a Google account like Gmail or something. I have used this tip so much, probably daily since I learned it. It's a quick time saver for me. It makes me feel so efficient and together, and I'm able to quickly take notes or do a calculation or make a list. And I learned it thanks to social media. So that's the second reason that I love social media. I get new information that I would not have learned otherwise. And I also love social media because it helps me meet new people. It gives me a chance to meet people in two different ways. Because I am a coach, a podcast host, and a journal creator, I do love to post about what I do. People who don't know me yet can find me. Social media is a great tool for that. And maybe you even found me because of something that I posted somewhere. I also love using social media to meet people because I can look through places online and find other people who are doing what I'm doing or who are interested in the kinds of things that I do, and I can connect with them. I've had some lovely connections with people through meeting for the first time on social media. It's a great way to meet people, especially for the fact that we can meet people all over the world that we would have had no chance of running into if we were trying to meet in our similar geographic location. Hopefully you have heard at least 3 reasons that you could love social media too, or love it more than you do right now. You can use social media to connect more deeply with people, to learn new information, and to meet new friends. On the other hand, let's be realistic and transparent about some of the downsides of social media, because I am not trying to just paint this with a rainbow glitter unicorn brush and say that it's all perfect. Of course, there are downsides. One of the downsides is that sometimes people find themselves mindlessly scrolling, and then 30 minutes or an hour, however long later, they realize, wow, I've just been sitting here, probably with bad posture, staring at my phone or computer. They probably did not get any benefit from that stretch of time. Yes, social media can be a time waster. It can be a time suck. To compound that problem, depending on what you saw as you were scrolling, it can also flood your mind with negativity. There have been studies done and documentaries created about the negativity, the divisiveness, the anger, the snarkiness, all of those things that are not very pretty or helpful. All of that negativity can be in front of us, and when we just take it in without question and without realizing we're taking it in, then we feel miserable because we saw all of this arguing and negativity or low-value content, and it doesn't improve our lives in any way. Of course, being exposed to so much negativity is a downside of using social media frequently. Another part of that is the misinformation and manipulation that happens on social media. That might just be a subset of the idea of negativity, but we've heard of people who get sucked into scams or who see a headline or a well-crafted post and it sparks this survival mechanism at the threat center of their brain. They might think, oh my goodness, this must be true. And then they're on alert. They need to be upset about it, or they need to take action on it, or it's just stressing them out and creating all kinds of havoc. And social media is manipulative. Many people scroll through social media and they see these very well-created messages, and it puts them in the threat mode, or it reduces their critical thinking ability. Their brains think that their beliefs or their preferences or lifestyle or chosen community is under attack, or that they might lose something because of something that they saw on social media. And of course, feeling like we're threatened or under attack doesn't put any of us in the best state of mind. The misinformation and manipulation that happens on social media is definitely a downside. The personal example that happened to me was getting my account hacked. People are very clever and can use our trust and our naivete maybe to share very interesting looking or important looking links that they tell us we should click on. Or we get a friend request and think, this new person is a friend of someone I know, so we accept the friend request because we don't want to be rude. And before you know it, your account is hacked. So that causes a lot of frustration and stress, and maybe even further problems, because hacking can lead to an invasion of other accounts if you have things connected on social. and that can lead to a whole situation. So manipulation and misinformation is definitely a downside of social media. So how can we combat those downsides? Or how can we still use social media to our advantage without falling victim to the mindless scrolling and time wasting and the negativity and the misinformation? How can we not be manipulated and sidestep the risk of having our personal digital space invaded? I have 4 different ways that I recommend and that I use myself to make my social media experience work for me. So using these methods makes social media a valuable and beneficial part of my life instead of something that is negative and wasting my time. The first thing that I love to do is connect when I meet someone new, either in person or online in a networking group or in a Facebook group. Whenever I meet someone new, if I feel a spark there, I definitely want to connect with them on social media. Going back to what I said at the very beginning when I talked about the benefits of connection, by friending or following someone, I get to see a little bit more into what they share. I get to know them a little bit. I get to have a chance to comment on their posts or send them a private message to say, hi, it was nice to meet you. And connecting on social media is such a lovely, low-stakes way to further a conversation that just got started and just to see if it's going to go anywhere. It's so valuable. I would definitely recommend, if you want to take advantage of the power of social media to further connections with people that you meet, either online or in real life, take the extra step once you've met them to connect with them on social. Say hi. Comment on their pictures, show them some love, keep the conversation going, see what else you have in common, and see what blooms from that original connection. The second way that I use social media so that it is not a time waster and so that I don't get sucked in when I scroll on social is that I usually have a purpose. I usually do it for a set amount of time. For example, I like to see what's new in the groups that I am in and that I care about. So I will decide to only look at specific groups and only for 20 minutes. I only want to see the most recent comments that have been posted to see if there are any topics that I'm interested in or questions that I might know the answer to. When I open a group, I'll sort it to only see the most recent activity. I won't look at the ranked activity, which Facebook wants to show me, the top posts that have had the most interaction and the most comments on them. I don't necessarily want to see those because maybe those posts are not what I'm curious about. So instead, I sort by recent, and then I can just see what has happened and what has been posted in the group since the last time that I looked. And that really keeps me more up to date. It lets me see things that were just recently posted. So one thing that I love about doing this method is because sometimes people will post something in a really large group and it gets lost. No one happens to see the post or comment on it. So when I see those, if I happen to log on right when someone has asked a question, even if I don't know the answer and I can tell it would be really helpful if they got an answer, sometimes I'll just comment with, I don't know the answer to this question, but I'm commenting in case someone else does. Or maybe I'll tag someone that I know who might know the answer. So this falls under my intention of giving what I want more of. When I post something, I want people to respond or comment on it, so I try to do that whenever I can for other people. When I log on to Facebook, I always put a timer on when I'm scrolling, and I also have that specific purpose in mind. Maybe the purpose is really just to see what's new, or maybe it is just to hang out online for a minute. Maybe I'm just taking a little entertainment break from my day. I like that. It is a good use of my time. My next tip is a way to make sure that my entertainment time stays entertaining. I stay aware of my intention, my body language, my emotion, and my reactions. While I'm scrolling, as soon as I get a little hint that I am feeling uncomfortable or a little tinge of negativity, as soon as I feel myself getting a little upset by something that someone's posted, I take action. What kind of action? If I'm scrolling through the newsfeed that Facebook or Instagram has suggested to me when they are deciding what I should see, as soon as I notice the thought like, ooh, I don't like this, or, oh, I don't like what that person wrote, I end it. I either end my scroll session or I end my ability to see that post. So if it's an ad, I will use the 3 dots to tell Facebook I don't want to see that kind of ad. This is my time and I want to spend it the way I want. Maybe a person who's posting something that I don't like is in a mental space right now that I don't want to be in that space. I don't want to see any of their comments while they are in that space. I can just snooze that person. I sometimes even block people so that I don't ever see any of their posts again. Or I'll jump out of a group that I'm scrolling through. Or I'll just end my social media session right at that moment. When I realize, wait, this isn't how I want to be spending my time right now, I'm starting to feel kind of negative or I'm starting to feel kind of down on myself, that's when I end the session. I don't keep scrolling when I'm not feeling great and when it's not giving me what I want, when it's not meeting my intention. So this also happens at the first sign of boredom. When I start to notice myself feeling bored in my scroll, I'm done. Basically, while I am scrolling, I have two channels open in my brain. I'm scanning what I see on my screen, and I am scanning how my body and mind are reacting. As soon as I get any indication that this is not serving me, I snap out of the trance and I take action. My advice is to be very, very quick and generous with your snooze and block and exit buttons. Really curate who is on your list and who you are following so you really see the content that you want to see and you don't see what you don't want to see. This means you don't have to follow everyone who invites you. You don't have to look at the posts of everyone you know or who's in your family just because you're related or just because you've known each other for a long time. You get to decide who you see and who you don't see on your social media feeds. What do you think? Would any of these tips work for you? Would you be able to further any relationships by connecting on social? Can you think of a purpose for social media before you start scrolling? Would you ever set a timer? Are you able to scan yourself while you're also scanning your feed to make sure to jump out as soon as it's no longer what you want? And what are your favorite ways to make social media work for you to improve your life? I want to hear all of it. So send me an email at hi@bexby.org or leave me a comment in the show notes at bexby.org/lovesocial, LOVESOCIAL. If you want a few suggestions of some fun, positive, and helpful places to hang out online, join one or both of my current Facebook groups. I have a group called Journaling and Friendship. So it's facebook.com/groups/journaling friendship. And it gives you a new journal prompt every morning. And plus we get together both in person and on Zoom to journal and to make friends. Another Facebook group that I recently started is called Business Brainstorming and Tech Tips. This group gives you a weekly tech tip. Plus it gives you a community with encouragement and support. It's a place to ask questions and share resources. So far this month, we've had one office hours session where people have dropped in for a business brainstorming session or a quick tech question. And the next office hours is scheduled for 2/2/22 at 2 p.m. So you should join us just for the fun of that date and time. If you want to follow along on Instagram, I'm doing an experiment right now. You can find me at bexbeltran_org, and you can see what happens when someone starts a brand new Instagram account from zero and spends 30 minutes a day for 30 days engaging and interacting from the new account. How much do you think it will grow in 1 month's time? And you also might be so excited to hear about the behind the scenes tour coming up on February 16th. I am sharing an exclusive, all access, Ask Me Anything session about how I created my very first notebook last year without being sure how to do it or what it could lead to, and how that grew into the shop with 200 journals and notebooks. Do you have an idea for a journal that you would love to create for yourself? Or are you curious if you could put your creativity to work for yourself and start your own shop? Come and hang out with me, reserve your spot for this behind the scenes tour, and then you can ask all your questions and you can see all the tools, the software, the systems, and everything that I use. So once again, you can get the links to everything that I just mentioned at bexby.org/lovesocial, LOVESOCIAL. And you can also leave me a comment about your favorite ways to use social media, or maybe even the reasons why you don't like to use social media. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk with you next time. Bye-bye. This has been Release Your Resistance. Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, make sure you're subscribed and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Also, think about someone who you know who would love this episode and share it with them. There should be a share button on your app if you're listening to this on your phone. If you'd like to continue this conversation one-on-one or in real time, come visit me on my site at beckspeed.org to see how we can work together.